Hello, this is Adam Gates from Car Subaru in Beaverton, Oregon. I'm going over some of the features and usability of your 2020 Forester. So this is a base model. We're going to start from this corner, work our way in. You've got your window lock, unlock. You've got auto window on the driver's side. The rest of them are all powered. Unlock and lock. You've got your mirror controls. You turn it to the left and use it like a joystick to move the left mirror, right mirror, all the same there. These buttons down here by my left knee. This is your traction control button. No reason to ever turn that off. This is your auto start stop. Now when you put your foot on the brake, the engine will actually come to a full stop to conserve fuel. If you don't like that feature, you can turn it off just by pressing that button, but you do have to turn it off if you don't like that feature every time you start the car. And then you have your basic dimmer switches here for the dash. Now one nice feature on almost all new Subarus is this little trip reset. I don't have the car on right now. If you hit that trip reset, it tells you how many miles are on the car and your fuel gauge. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start the car up here. It's a Subaru, they're noisy when they start. So if you look here, this is all of your audio controls. So I control the volume right here. You've got your info screen. The info button actually controls this screen right here. So if you click that, it'll change what it's displaying. Like right now, this car thinks it has 90 miles to empty. That's the average fuel mileage it's getting. Then you can have your rolling MPGs of what your actual mileage is as it's going along. You got your outside temperature and your time, of course, which is off in this car because we haven't hooked up a phone to it yet. That's your trip. So far it's getting 2 average miles per gallon when we've been moving it around the lot here with it swapping 5 miles on it. And then you just have it blank if you like a little cleaner display. Now as you can see here, the engine start stop, that's that same symbol that was on this button down here, is currently white. The car just warmed up, it's in park. Whenever you start the car, this little thing will come up saying it's a cold start, so there's certain features that'll be disabled, namely auto start stop in the base model. So if I click that, you'll see that that little symbol turns amber. Anything on this display that turns amber tells you that you chose to turn that feature off. Anything that's white says the feature's on, but it's not currently engaged, it's not active, and anything green says that feature is currently being used and is active. Okay, then back to here, we went through the info button. Source is pretty self-explanatory. It's the source of where you're playing your music from, be it FM, AM, Sirius, or your Bluetooth device. This is to scroll through your presets, and then info, of course, changes that screen. Then you have either talk to the car to tell it to dial a number or to pick up a phone call coming in, hanging up your phone call. These little guys down here are pretty interesting. They're about at the 7 o'clock position on the steering wheel. If you look at the center display here, I'm pulling either this one or this one towards me, okay, either the top or bottom, and it changes what the car's displaying. Car's had 2 seconds with its auto start stop on. That's your rolling MPGs, miles to empty. Your average MPGs. This is to get into the internal systems of the car. Please contact your salesman if you want to get into that and change certain things. It can really kind of mess up the usability of the car. Nothing that's going to destroy the car, but can just be kind of frustrating. Your rolling PSI gauge. On the new Subarus, they use rolling PSI. They use rolling tire pressure monitoring system. So when you're parked, it won't actually show you a display until you've gone a mile or so the car can actually tell you where the tires are and once they're warmed up. This is your auto start stop time. We haven't had any time on that. We haven't saved any fuel because that feature hasn't engaged yet. And then this is what most people keep it on. It's just telling you your current MPGs. Okay, so you can scroll up or down through either of those. Okay, it just takes you through the same system so you don't have to skip all the way through it again. Now the middle button, you see that little eye there? If I ever have the car on and there's a little amber or red eye right here, that's telling me that there's something the car wants to tell me. Most of the time, if it's a red eye, it's somebody in the car doesn't have their seatbelt on. Sometimes it's you have low pressure in the tire, or you have low fuel, or there's a various number of things that it could tell you. When you see one of those eyes that looks just like this one on the top there, it'll look just like that, only it'll be amber or red on your display. You pull this towards you, the car pops it up and tells you what's going on so that you know. There's just too many gauges on this to have a lot of warning lights. Okay, Now we move over to here. Now this is your EyeSight system. Okay, now EyeSight's set up in two ways. If it's a safety feature, Subaru would just as soon as you keep on, that's set up here, and you are choosing to turn those off. This one happens to be the pre-collision braking. This is your lane departure warning. So this, if we hold this down, you'll hear a beep. And then right there again, in amber, it tells you that your pre-collision braking system is off. There is one reason to ever turn that off, and that is if you go through a car wash. If these EyeSight cameras that go through the windshield here see a brush coming down towards them, that will actually stop the car in some cases and really make the car wash owners upset. To turn it back on, you just hold that down again, and you're going to see that little light turn off. There you go, and that says that feature's on. Lane departure warning is just if you go over the lane markings without using your blinker, the car will tell you, hey, you got outside of your lane a little bit. Okay. Now, the second set of features of EyeSight are the convenience features. Those are set on the wheel because they affect how the car handles. So you're choosing to turn those features on. This one is adaptive cruise, this one is lane centering, and this is adjusting how soon or how late the car reacts to keep you closer to the car in front of you. So if I'm here and I click the cruise control, you'll see my display changes. And there it is. Now if I put my foot on the brake in this car, that's showing you this is you. It's telling you how far away you want those horizontal bars or how close you want the car in front of you. Okay, more bars equals the car's, your Forester is going to brake sooner, accelerate harder to keep the car close, or I'm sorry, my apologies. More bars means the car is going to brake later, it's going to accelerate softer to keep the car further away from you. The more bars I take down, the later the car brakes, and the harder it accelerates to keep the space between you and the car in front of it closer. Okay, so when you put on the adaptive cruise and you actually hit set, just like normal cruise, you got set and reset, your max cruising speed pops up right here, meaning whatever you have your cruise set at. When you initially set it, it'll be with whatever speed traffic is, just like normal cruise. And then you can click up or down, and it goes up or down by 5-mile-an-hour increments and adjusts right here. It tells you what speed it'll let you go if there's nobody in front of you. If there's somebody in front of you, it's just going to go with the flow of traffic. Okay? So then you have your lane centering. So if I click that, that little steering wheel pops up. These turn blue, telling you they are looking for lane markings. Now, when lane centering is active, these turn white and the wheel turns blue and or green, and it tells you that your car is currently trying to keep you centered in the lane that you're on. It's really good for highway driving. One thing to be aware of is that while it's trying to keep you centered in the lane, it will constantly be putting feedback into the wheel to help with that. Okay? I do not suggest having that mode on in town. If you get on a long street, it'll pick up the lane markings, but when you go through an intersection, it keeps turning them on and off and gets kind of annoying. So there again. Okay. Now, if you ever want to turn off the adaptive cruise, if you have a family member borrowing the car and they're not comfortable with it, or it's just a feature you don't like, you can hold this button down, and then it turns to normal cruise. Now, when you're on adaptive cruise, there'll be another little animation of a car just like this one, but it pops up at the top here, and it's just a tiny little animation. The car is going to beep at you whenever it acquires a car to follow in adaptive cruise. It's going to beep whenever it loses a particular car, so you know what car it's reacting to. Okay? So we've got all those. Then we have these two buttons down here. I is intelligent mode. That's a mapping mode for the engine that gives you the best fuel economy. Sport is a mode, and if I click that, you can see that go up right there. It tells me we're in SI drive, sport mode. So that makes the transmission a little snappier, lets the engine have a little more power, and kind of keeps your RPMs up for when you're going over hills, or you need a little more power if you're up in the mountains, that kind of thing. Otherwise, to get the best fuel economy, you'll want to leave it on intelligent. The car defaults to intelligent when you start it. Alrighty. Then we have our heads-up display here. You've got your phone connection. If you want to connect a phone, you just click that. Then it says, yes, I want to connect a device. If a device is already connected, it'll say, do you want to pair another device? And you can go to add and do that. When you click yes, it says that the car is now currently searching. That's the PIN number. You never have to worry about that. All you need to worry about is Subaru BT. That's what your phone's going to display that it wants to pair with. You hit pair and confirm. It's pretty self-explanatory, very easy to do. Once your phone's connected, you can hit that button to talk to the car, to have it dial numbers, do all that stuff. One thing that's really nice on all the 2020 Subarus is if you go down here, there's these two USB ports. They're right in front of the shifter. I'm going to back out just to give a little context of where that's at. Right there. Okay. So if you connect your iPhone or your Android to these two devices, to these two USB ports, and have a good cord, the phone will ask you for permission. Android Auto or CarPlay will start up, and I'll have you go through those systems and give it all the permissions it needs to access stuff from your phone. And then normally it's in this little corner, either Android Auto or CarPlay will pop up. That system mirrors your phone to the stereo screen. So you'll be able to see all your driving centric apps with that. Your music, your maps, your contacts, that kind of stuff. It changes this display, but you can always just hit home to go back home and see this display again. Apps are mostly connected through your phone. The AHA app is just an old throwback. I would never worry about that. Travel Link is going to tell you kind of where the weather is of where you're at, is what most people use it for. Like this one's set to the New York metro area. You can change that here by adding a new location, going to, like I am in Oregon here. So I go to Oregon and I'm in the Portland metro area. Come on, car. There we go. Sorry, I have a little trouble seeing it through my screen here. So I go back. I click on Portland metro area, and now it's telling me the weather there. Huge surprise in Portland, it's cloudy and raining. All right, so if we hit home, whenever you get lost in this system, hit home, and it goes right back to where you were. Now you've got your radio apps here. If you want to change what you're listening to, so if I go to FM and I want to listen to a station I really like, tuner is right here. I go to 95.5 and I want to listen to this. You just hold down that and there's your preset right there. You can do that with any of these, FM, AM, or Sirius. Okay? So you have 18 presets. So if you find 18 radio stations you like listening to, you got all the presets in the world to use that. Media is where, when your phone's connected, you can either listen to a USB device that you connect through there, or you can listen to your phone. That's where all that's going to be displayed, Bluetooth and that kind of stuff. Okay. Your flashers are right here. You will hit those while you're messing with the HVAC system, so that's just a good thing to know where they are, kind of a random spot. You've got your adjustments for where the air blows out. You push it in for defrost. Push it out. And you got your fan speed. If you want to recycle the air, you just push that. Then you have your AC. So I want to turn the AC down, turn that on. Of course, it's not going to turn on while I don't have the fan on. There we go. And whenever those lights are on either of those centers, that feature is active at that point. Okay. So when we go to the actual kind of center display here, you can see my parking brake is on. One really nice thing with the new Foresters, this parking brake's on. So if I put this in drive and I try to give it a little gas and go anywhere, of course it's not going to let me. But if I, oh, excuse my finger there. But if I put on this seat belt, my seat belt's now attached. I have it in drive. If I hit the gas here, you'll see this turn right off. And we're moving. So when you set the parking brake, if you put your seat belt on, you don't have to worry about turning it off. This is your backup camera. Whenever you put the car in reverse, your backup camera comes up. Green is the overlay. This overlay will be on whatever you're looking at. Green's about 4 feet. Yellow's about 2 feet. Red is a foot, and you can actually see the bumper of the car down there. So as I back up next to this other Forester, you'll see how they kind of overlay, and I want to stop at the yellow. That's about 2 feet, gives people plenty of room to move through. All right, now one very interesting feature on the new Subarus is AVH. So if I click AVH, you'll see it in the top right-hand corner here. green saying the feature is active. Now again, AVH is automatic vehicle hold. Now AVH only engages when you have your seatbelt on. So again, I'm sure you heard my seatbelt click in. So I put the car in drive. I have my foot off the brake and that little circle popped up. Did you see that? That says the car is holding here in drive without the parking brake on. It's going to stay where I put it until I hit the gas. All I do is hit the gas a little bit and it goes. If I want to stop again, I come to a full stop and that circle will pop up again saying AVH is engaged. I take my foot off the brake and it's good to go. It'll just stay where I put it. So, just kind of a basic overview of your Forester that you bought. Congratulations. Or if you're just looking for some more information, please feel free to click this video. On all the Foresters, you have auto lights. I always just leave it on auto so that I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. You've got your speed for your windshield wipers, something we all use in Portland. If you have just a mist, you can just push up and it just goes away. This sets the time in between swipes on the wipers, so you know, longer time between swipes, less time between swipes. You've got your sprayers for the rear there, okay, or you can turn it forward and just turn it on all the way. Now you can have it on with it wiping and you can just turn it all the way forward, and again that turns on the wipers but leaves the blade going for when you're in those really muddy, boggy areas. So on your Forester, these cameras are pretty sensitive, so when you clean the car, spray the rag, wipe down the car. Don't spray in the car because you don't want to gum up these sensors. You have your sunglass holder there, something every car needs. Lights are pretty self-explanatory. Most of them have the LED upgrade. Headrests in a Subaru are kind of odd. When you adjust the headrest, you pull it forward like that, and then you can't get it back unless you pull it all the way forward and release it. Okay, once I shut the car off here, we'll head around to the back just to show you how to lay down all of the seats. Those are going to be right here. Pull that up. When they're released, you see that little red, kind of like a gun safety. You can pull it down. There you go. Seats lay pretty flat. When you first get your Forester, these are going to be stuck up because they've been sitting like that for a few months. So if you push it down, they'll lay pretty flat. This one happens to be equipped with the rear seat back protectors where the rubber cargo mat goes all the way up. Very nice feature. And again, I want to kind of slam that back so that red's not exposed, so the car is locked in there. On the soft trunk, on the soft touch button for your trunk, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 stars down, straight down, and about right there. You'll feel that. You actually have to pick the lid up by that button when you press it. If you just press it and let it go, the trunk won't actually open. So again, this was Adam Gates from Car Subaru in Beaverton, Oregon. I sure hope you enjoy your new Forester, and if you have any questions, please feel free to call or email me. Looking forward to hearing from you.